All right, welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Dollar Bin Digging. This is the video series, an article that I do for comicbookinvest.com, where I talk about those cheap books that you can still find at your LCS in those dollar boxes, in the cheap boxes, in those yard sales, flea markets, wherever you find your cheap comics. This is the stuff you should be keeping an eye out for because it's like hidden treasures out there. So these are a few things that I think you should keep an eye out for personally. Hopefully you like this series as well as the other content that I have on my channel. If you do, let me know in the comments, and please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything, and just hang on for a few seconds after the intro, and I'll be back with this week's books. Okay, so following up on last week's article where I actually covered some final issues, some last issues that you should be keeping an eye out for, I realized, even with some suggestions, in the comments, that there's still more. So, you know what? I felt like one more week, let's do some more final issues that you should be paying attention to or keep an eye out for out there. I'm actually going to split this one down the middle. I'm going to do a few DC and then a few Marvel. So I'm just not favoring Marvel too much. So stick around. While these are going to be just last issues, I'm not going to go into much detail over the books because, again, there's no explanations of key issues, of what you find first or anything like that to show you interior panels, because it's basically just about being the last issue. Print runs going low, just hard to find, as these things just kind of ended. So that's really the reason, the biggest draw for those completionists, those run fillers, that they need these last books to complete those runs. And these are some of the tougher ones to find, just again due to series ending and print runs usually dwindling down as time goes on, which is why they're ending. Otherwise they would be continuing on, continuously being ongoings. But that being said, let's look at what we have for this week. Now, this week, as I said, I'm going to start off with DC. I've been catching up on Titans on HBO Max, and I'm enjoying it. And it just got me thinking about Robin. So, you know what? Let's look at the final issue of Robin. Robin 183. It's been a while since this book, has been out. And it's not impossible to find. This is probably one of the easier ones that you can track down on this list. But it's still one that is worth grabbing if you find it, because it's not that easy. I mean, you can find it for a few bucks, I guess, or move it for a few bucks if that's what you want to do. You want to look what actually sold. Yes, one did sell for $1.34, but that person who paid $1.34 also paid $32.25 shipping. That's a heck of a shipping cost from the UK. But, that goes into it. So, but $1.34 is what it sold for. So it can still go for pretty cheap. But if you want to go shopping and see what's out there right now, if you had one and you want to see what the market is, well, the market could be anywhere from $3 to $20. It's kind of crazy. It's just one of those things where it's just such a wide range of asks and even sale prices. Like, this thing is just a little bit of a roller coaster, but still something to pay attention to, because this is the last and final issue of Robin. And yeah, why not? Why not keep an eye out for it, right? Stick it in DC. We're going to go back a little bit further and go back to Harley Quinn. This is the first volume of Harley Quinn. This is the one that started in the year 2000 and ran all the way up through issue 38. Looks like in 2004. It's just one of those things where it's just the final issue of the series. She still was pretty popular, so hers didn't run out, I don't think, due to popularity. It's just they stopped and restarted her series so many times. Who knows what the reasoning was behind getting rid of this one. But still, even with all that said, this is still one that does fetch a few bucks extra if you can find it. If you want to look at some sold prices on this one, you can see it's about $15. And then plus shipping, obviously. So if you can find it in a dollar bin, then it's definitely something I would pick up. I mean, and really a lot of this first series is worth kind of grabbing, because they're all pretty much $5 to $10 these days. But if you want to see what's out there for sale, if you were shopping for one, well, then you got to look again to pay that $15 or up to $67. I mean, that's just listing. That's just asking prices. No one's saying that anybody paid $67, but that's what it's up there for. So that's just to kind of give you the range of what's out there. So definitely one that you want to keep an eye out for, just in case, right? We're going to go a little bit older. We're going to go a little bit more old school with this next one. Superman 423. Alan Moore in this issue wrote the story. Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. Great issue. Final issue of that original Superman run. I believe this then became Avengers of Superman before reverting back to Superman. Want to hit like 600, 700, somewhere in that kind of range. But issue 423 was the final issue of regular Superman at the time. But again, rebranding, retitling, it still kind of continued. But that being said, this is still the final issue. And again, with that Alan Moore story, this is definitely one you want to keep an eye out for if you can find it. I know I see a lot of Superman. Anytime I hit Superman in the box, Superman, Jimmy Olsen, and the like, I just kind of speed through because I just don't care. It's a personal thing. I just don't really enjoy reading Superman because I just can't relate. He's just too impossible. Like what difficulties does he? I don't know. That being said, you could be the biggest Superman fan in the world. I'm not going to judge you for it. It's just he just never really connected that much with me. There's been a few stories that I've liked, but overall in all, it's just something I just breeze through. If it's in a box, I just breeze past it because I'm not all that interested. That all being said, what has this book sold for? Last copy sold about $14. Yeah, so it's not too bad. So if you can find one of these in an old bin, in an old box, it's just something you want to keep an eye out for, one you want to pick out, even for yourself. Because if you want to go shopping for one of these, yes, you can find one for $10, like $25 for this issue. Like I said, Alan Moore, it's worth a read. One of the few, but just one you want to keep an eye out for if you want to look for this cover. You see the window boxes, maybe this will catch your eye, but it also might just blend into a lot of the Superman covers of that time too. But trying to help, maybe you can find 423 when you're out there digging. And I got one more DC book to talk about. And I've mentioned this one before because I actually did buy this. And I think I did this on a pickups video on my channel. But I paid a couple of bucks for it because I just kind of wanted it. But this one, if you can find it. Not saying you're going to because this is a tough find. This is a book that's been expensive for a while. A lot of people already know about it. But keep an eye out for it. But these late run Lobos are definitely things you just want to be aware of. And the final issue, issue 64 with the Demon, it does pretty well. It definitely does pretty well for itself. So if you can stumble across one of these out there, you would have done a pretty good, digging job because the last one of these sold for $55.55. So like I said, not a cheap book at all. But I just don't think everyone knows about this book. While plenty of people do, there's a lot of newer collectors out there that don't know this information. So I'm not going to take that for granted and just let you know this is a book that you just want to be aware of. Because again, I see Lobo books out there, but basically any of these later runs when you're leading up to 64 are probably worth the grab because again, print runs got lower and lower, prices go up. But what's available if you're out shopping for this, just so you can compare to the market, $55 or 9.8, $275. I put that in there, that 9.8, because that was the only other copy that I could see that I think it was out there. I might have been the 9.2 that was also like $250, but just kind of give you a range. So 55, 275, 9.8, just so you're aware. So that's going to move on. We're going to move on from our DC portion of this list and go over to Marvel. And I got a few Marvel books to bring up too. Again, last issues, final issues. My first one is this one sitting right here next to me. I believe I've written about this one before because I've always keep an eye out for this because I'm a big Silver Surfer guy. So I always look for this one. I see late issue Silver Surfer books, I grab them. Basically anything 140 and after, I'll just scoop up if it's $1. And definitely look for 146, which to my surprise is actually gone up even more over the last, I don't know, maybe a year or two, because I haven't really looked for prices for this recently. But when I looked today for the sold prices on this, $40 for this. I remember this was like $20, $25, but $40 now for that final issue of Silver Surfer, the final explosive final issue, I should say, if you check out that cover. But if you also want to see what's out there, if you're shopping for one, well, and you're looking at that $40 to $64 price tag. Like I said, this is much higher than I remember it. I thought it was 20, 25, but now apparently it's 40 to 65. Just something to know. So Silver Surfer 146. I think somebody else also mentioned it in the comments too. But like I said, I know I wrote about this one, $1 Bin Digging, probably a couple of years ago, but it's always good to revisit. And since I already gave you 4 books, this is book number 5, and I still got a couple of more. I don't feel bad if I give you a repeat here or there, just to remind you guys, because I'm not going to assume you guys have gone through all 161 articles that I've written for comicbookinvest.com on this subject, but that's how many I'm at. This is 161. And with that, we're going to move on to our next book. Our next one is Nova, the last issue blast. Nova, the human rocket. And you get a nice little appearance by Venom on this Larson series. This one only lasted 7 issues. So this was not a long run on the title. A few volumes of Nova. This one was obviously there in the 90s. You can tell by that art. But only 7 issues. And issue 7 is that last issue of Nova, the human rocket. Again, Nice little Venom appearance. Just kind of fun. I always look for those 90s Venom appearances in other titles because it's just kind of fun. It's definitely kind of fun because he was a character that was really getting pushed, and he showed up in a lot of weird places. So here we are in a Nova book. And if you want to see what's sold, well, about 11 bucks, 10, 11 bucks for this, plus shipping. Not too bad. And if you go out there shopping and you want to go find one for yourself online, well, then you're looking to pay $9 to $30. I know, again, a wide range, but that's kind of where we're at. Venom appearances, they do command a tiny bit of a premium, a little bit of interest just because Venom's in there. And you add in the fact that this is the final issue of this Nova run. Yeah, it makes it a little more interesting for giving you 2 bites at the apple, two options and 2 collectors that might be looking for this title. And we're going to move on to our third Marvel book in this section, and we're going to look at the Dark Avengers final issue 190. Yes, the Dark Avengers. This is when Norman Osborn with Dark Reign, he took over and he came up with a whole new team of basically villains that were his Dark Avengers. And yeah, you get a pretty interesting little scar cover there with him with his sword sitting in a tree. I don't know. The final issue, one of those ones that you just don't find all the time, because I think this just kind of lost steam a little bit. I think people kind of just, once Dark Reign started hitting and just more and more events, like one after the other, sort of piling on, I think it just was very tiresome. I think a lot of people were getting tired and they just couldn't keep up with all of these titles. So I think this was kind of ones that lost steam. And you can see even this, you can buy one for $3, $3.30 plus shipping. But if you go out there shopping for one, well, some of the asks are going to be a little bit higher, like $8 to $20. So it's kind of a little all over the place. Still, you can find it for cheap. You can sell it for a few bucks more. You can ask for a few bucks more. It's just one of those books you just want to be aware of, that this is the last issue of Dark Avengers. So if you're out there looking, this is the one. 190 is the one to look for. And I have one more book for you. And with her series coming up on Disney Plus, this is probably going to gain a little bit more interest. But while I know there's a ton of issue 1s out there, which have gotten very, very pricey lately, don't sleep on the final issue of The Savage She-Hulk. Issue number 25. It's the end. I dig this cover. Black background, it just makes her green pop off, and you see the pathway. The end of the She-Hulk is just one of those books that, yeah, you might be able to find, because you can still find plenty of Savage She-Hulk books in those bins that just aren't issue 1. There's that Man Elephant one, I think it was 17 or 19, somewhere in there. You want to keep an eye out for that, because that's just kind of fun. But 25 is not a big, a long run, 25 issues. So if you find any, there's a chance you might find this double-sized grand finale. So just keep an eye out for this one, because this one does okay too. If you want to look, last sold price, $33 or $16. So $16 to $33. $16 on October 6th, $33 on October 7th. So these are very recent sales. You can see where the market on this one is at. But if you're shopping for one, you're going to look again at that range of about $25 up to $85, depending on condition. This black cover is not going to be very forgiving with the spine ticks, so finding a high grade one is going to be tough. So just understand that's what you're going to get out of a dollar bin, that you're not going to get probably top of the line 9.8 candidates all the time. You might get lucky. Just don't expect it. It's a dollar bin after all that we're talking about. These cheap bins is $1, $2 boxes. Things just kind of get shoved in there. You're lucky if you can sometimes flip through the box because it's packed so tight. You got to just take a stack out just to make room so you can flip properly. But that being said, that's our list for this week. 8 titles, some fun stuff. Hopefully you like that. Hopefully you're enjoying this series. I don't know. We'll see what we got for next week coming in. I might switch over to that idea that I had with the magazines, because I still have a couple of those set aside to talk about. So some of those magazines you might find at the LCS tucked in those like milk crates and those record crates underneath the tables. There's still some good stuff that you might find magazine-wise that I think we should talk about, because you can still find some of that stuff for cheap too. Yeah, yard sales, flea markets, you want to just flip through this stuff because there's plenty of things still to be found. But as I said, that's all we got for this week. Hopefully you like that. Hopefully you found it interesting. Thanks for stopping by and checking out the channel. Hope you like it. Let me know in the comments. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything, and come back next week for more dollar bin digging. But I've got stuff dropping every day on my channel, so come back every day to check out what's hitting Rennavision. And hopefully you like it, and I will see you guys soon.